Hi, everybody. My name is Tatiana. I will be your host today. Thank you very much for joining our webinar. We have our partners here, Mike Anderson from Operto, Sloan Manino from DACK, and Rachel Candwell from PriceLabs. We are going to be talking about digital nomads and how we can host this type of guests. As people are joining, let me give you some information on the webinar. If you have any questions, and I encourage you do, please use the Q&A section. We disabled the chat because we want to make sure we answer all of your questions. We do not miss one. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have 15 minutes for the questions and answers. Let me share my screen. Can you all see the screen? Okay. I believe we can get started. A lot of people seem to already be here. First, as I was saying, we are going to talk about how to make your short-term rentals more attractive for digital nomads in this panel. And I'm honored to have the presence of three of our partners here. We have Mike Anderson from Operto. Mike is the Director of Enablement for Operto Guest Technologies, which is a rapidly growing SaaS-based operation system for property managers and guests. And they support the whole spectrum of this accommodation sector. Hi, Mike, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you doing?
Just fine, thank you for coming. Sloan Manino from DACK is also here. Sloan is the head of sales from DACK. DACK is an all-in-one guest experience platform that enables operators to provide their guests with a completely digital stay from check-in to check-out. How's Sloan? How are you?
Hi, good. So happy to be here. I'm excited.
Yeah, so are we. And we have Richie from PriceLabs. Rich is the co-founder of PriceLabs. He looks after GTM and operations at this leading revenue management platform for owners and property managers. Hi, Richie, how are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much, Tatiana, for having me, and very excited to meet Mike and Sloan for the first time here. And also looking forward to the webinar.
Thank you. We're looking forward to that too. Thank you. So before we start, let me thank you very much for coming. We're very excited to have you on board. Let me share you our agenda today. You can see everything that we are going to talk about is on the screen. First, I'll share a few words about iGMS. Then I'll give you a short definition of what a digital nomad is, and our guests will take turns and share some of their ideas on how to deal with such guests. Operto is going to share her take on emerging trends in short-term rentals for owners related to digital nomads. DACK is going to show her approach on how to meet the expectations of digital nomads, and PriceLabs will share his view on digital nomads in today's world. As I told you at the end, we are going to have a Q&A session that was going to take 10 to 15 minutes. You can leave your questions in the Q&A. The chat is disabled. It will be at the end. So, ready? Well, I'm going to take a moment to explain what iGMS is and why we're talking about digital nomads in the first place. We like to say that iGMS is a software that will put your vacation rental business on autopilot. That's our motto. We simplify operations and increase revenue for our users. We want you to get rid of all the headaches you might have when starting a short-term rental business. We are a fully functioning property management system. We have a set of very solid core tools. For example, a unified multi-calendar, an inbox, message automation, cleaning management tools, all the things that you need to move forward as you grow as a host. We also recently released the website builder. We have a solid toolkit for work with direct booking. So if you have ever thought of getting your direct books rolling, I suggest you check our website builder. And we offer a 14-day free trial where you can experience our tools. We don't ask for any credit cards in this period. You can take a look and check and sign in to iGMS. We also work with some big companies. You probably heard of some of them: Oil Vacation Homes, Red Awning, Toy Villas. We have many successful cases. For example, people came to join us with just 2 properties, and they grew significantly 1 to 2 years to 50 properties. That's a real case where we actually have in our company. So after this short intro, let's jump into the topic today. Let's define what digital nomads are and see how they are different from the rest of our guests. You can see that digital nomads are people who are living in a lot of locations of their choosing, rather than a fixed business location. They like to stay in one place for a while. They put down some roots for a few weeks or months. Some other nomads choose to change cities or countries more frequently. And there are many benefits of being a digital nomad. You have the freedom to work from anywhere you want, and you're able to choose where you live. You have the opportunity to meet new people. There are good chances to network with global brands, and you can experience different cultures. I have some interesting numbers and facts about digital nomads. The number of digital nomads has been increasing over the years. A recent study by MBO Partners found that 16.9 million American workers describe themselves as digital nomads, and that's a 9% increase from 2021, and up to 131% from the pandemic year of 2019. There are, by some estimates, 35 million digital nomads worldwide. And the digital nomad lifestyle has become very popular in recent years. It's not only happening among millennials. 46% of digital nomads are from Generation X and baby boomers. We can notice it's no longer a niche movement. And another recent survey that was conducted by marketingsignals.com found that Austin in Texas is the top city for digital nomads, followed by Vienna, Split, Madrid, and Lisbon. On average, digital nomads are very well educated. 59% of them have a college degree or higher, and 26% have an advanced degree. They work in a wide variety of fields, with the main professions including information technology, creative services, education and training, sales, marketing and PR, consulting, coaching, and research. You can take a look at our persona here. This is Jessica. She's a typical digital nomad. She's 39 years old. She enjoys life while she's working, and she loves to learn about new cultures. She prioritizes comfort, convenience, and price when looking for accommodation, but it's very difficult for her to find good accommodations that are ready for her lifestyle with good workspace. That's her main problem, her main frustration. And digital nomads differ from our regular guests in a lot of ways. They aren't tourists. They are a completely different traveler profile. They look for extended stays, flexible apartments, monthly rentals, co-living spaces with regular guests. They worry more about that than short-term rentals. They enjoy their stay without worrying about their routine tasks, but digital nomads prefer to make a temporary home out of the place they rent. As they are working, they do not care so much about the swimming pool, an entertainment center, or other amenities like regular guests. They are more worried about the workspace. For digital nomads, the number of bedrooms, standard amenities, and location are important because they prefer workplaces that offer comfort, peace, and quiet. And they need a nice room with enough light, comfortable chair and desk, the ability to have a private conversation. We noticed that marketing the rental properties to digital nomads is a great way to score off-season bookings. That's because digital nomads don't necessarily travel in the tourist season. They usually prefer to experience destinations without the high season crowds. Well, And how can we help our digital nomads with our tools? Take, for example, the check-in form. We have this check-in form. You can gather more information about your guests, and you can better prepare for their arrival. You can also use it to send your guests a rental agreement and verify their identity by requesting their IDs. It's a great solution for long-term or short-term stays because you can send a pre-arrival assessment form to your guests and attach either a long-term contract or a short-term contract, or you can even have both of them. And the system will automatically send the relevant contract depending on the length of your stay. And so that's a great way to prepare for digital nomads. Well, now that we have seen what digital nomads are all about, let's check with our guests how we can attract them to our short-term rentals. I'll pass the word on to Mike from Operto. Mike, please tell us a little bit about Operto and how we can market our short-term rentals to this interesting group of people.
Awesome. Thanks, Tatiana. So getting some feedback there. Yeah, first off, I really appreciate the opportunity to come on and be part of the panel. I think it's such a cool topic. It's one that I have some personal experience with, so hopefully I can bring that to bear. So a little bit about me. So my name is Mike. I joined a very, very, very tiny company called Slick Spaces almost 5 years ago. I was the 5th or 6th employee. Didn't really know anything about the hospitality industry from a professional lens, but I'd been a lifelong traveler. But heard about this small company that had just got an investment from the former CEO of Booking.com. So I took a chance on it. Always kind of wanted to join a startup, and 4.5 years later, we just closed our Series B round, 25 million US, and we've grown to over 140 employees around the world, which is super exciting. So really exciting to be kind of part of that journey from, those very, very, very early days to where we are now. Operto is all about creating an unforgettable guest journey at the end of the day. So we really take over where a great PMS like iGMS leaves off. So iGMS is all about, getting you your reservations and organizing your bookings and facilitating that communication. And then there's like a nice handshake when it's time to actually, take that guest through the rest of their journey and make sure they have a terrific experience. So broadly speaking, our product falls into 3 different categories. So guest, tech, and teams. Guest is all about how we digitize the guest journey and provide like a great hospitality experience, but in a more modern context. Tech is about controlling all the devices that automate things like smart locks and the check-in process and temperature and noise and all that type of stuff. And then teams is actually the back end piece, so the operations, so housekeeping and maintenance management, scheduling tools, and all that. The underlying value of our platform is that we connect all of those things together. So rather than having sort of like disparate, pieces of your solution that don't talk to each other, our guest technology speaks to our team's technology, which speaks to the devices. So it provides a more integrated ecosystem. But that's pretty much it in terms of like about Operto. I don't really want to come here and be really heavy on the sell. I really just kind of wanted to kind of keep things light and kind of talk about some of my experiences that I had back when I was a digital nomad. I have a 3-month-old baby now, so fair to say I have grown some permanent roots, but there definitely were some times where I was kind of out and about. And then just being on this side of it with Operto and working with so many clients over the last 4.5 years, helping them create like terrific guest journeys, I think it's given me a good perspective on some of the things we can do. I think a lot of the things are kind of known, like Tatiana mentioned, some of the big ones, so like create a comfortable workspace, Wi-Fi and stuff. So I'm not really gonna go into that too much. What I wanted to focus on is like some more like kind of creative avenues to appeal to that digital nomad demographic. With digital nomads, it's a really unique perspective because you're not on vacation, but you're also not on a work trip. It's this weird hybrid where like we want to have fun experiences, but we also want to soak in everything that our destination has to offer, while also having the comforts of home. So you kind of want to like have your cake and eat it too. Finding a great fit for that is something that can be really rewarding for a digital nomad where you kind of, check off like every one of those boxes. So ultimately, I think the concept of like a home away from home is kind of what I want to focus on. And it's something that really appeals to that digital nomad because more than anyone else, like your home, which they're staying at, is their home. Like it's literally their home. Oftentimes, like they're not even retaining a space at back home or wherever they are. So we want to do anything we can to give them that sense of home away from home. And to tell a little bit of story about some of my travel history, and in 2015, I was working and I was traveling around. I was going through Europe, and I had been going around for a couple months at this point, kind of staying in a location for like a couple weeks at a time. And towards this part of the trip, I had just come through Turkey and Greece and Croatia for the last couple weeks or several weeks, and I was really burning the candles at both ends. Like I've certainly settled down now, but you know, like I said, it was part vacation, part work. And by that point, I was sick. It was like had been high 30s or 40-degree heat for weeks on ends, around like 100 for the Americans here. And I was just like totally running on fumes. And I was in Croatia, and the next day I was supposed to go to Rome. But I checked the forecast and saw that they were in like the middle of a heat wave, and it was just going to be an inferno there too. And I was just like, I cannot do this. So I had this like existential crisis mid-trip and completely changed my entire plan, and flew to London and then made a short jump over to Ireland. I don't know how well you can see on my background, but my ancestry and my complexion is much better suited to an Irish climate than the south of Greece. So, but anyway, so I was really struggling at this point. I was totally burnt out. Like I said, I was sick. But when I told my family I was going to Ireland, my mom and I had always talked about going to Ireland together and kind of exploring our heritage. So she shot me a message and asked if she'd be okay if she crashed my trip. And like at this point, I was like, the prospect of some remedial mom time just sounded like absolutely what I needed. Like talk about home away from home. Like what could literally be better than your mom coming? Like that's your home coming to you. So I took a couple weeks off work, and she came over, and I was like prepared for this like totally rejuvenating 2 weeks. And what I did not count on was the fact that my mom parties harder than I do. And rather than hit the brake, like we hit the gas pedal, and I felt worse at the end of the 2 weeks than I did before she arrived. But it was a great time. She also did force me to go to the doctor, and it turns out I had a sinus infection that got cleared up by antibiotics. So mom really does know best. So anyway, the point of the story is to talk about that notion of home away from home. We can't have our moms come with us all the time, especially for digital nomads. So when we are at home, we have access to things like the food we love, you know, the gyms we work out at, our friends and family, our social activities, our routines, like all those things that make us really comfortable in our own space. So if we can offer those to digital nomads, or like part of that in some way, then it can go a long way to ensuring that they have a terrific experience. Maybe they want to extend, maybe they come back, maybe they tell their friends and coworkers. And the really great thing about this is that these are all things that appeal to regular travelers as well. So there's, you know, by creating a great experience for a digital nomad, you are creating a great experience for anybody that stays at your property. And there's so much crossover between what appeals to a digital nomad and what's going to appeal towards just anybody on vacation or a work trip. So some of the more creative ways, like what can we do to actually create that home away from home? You know, when you land in a new city, it can be tough to kind of get your bearings, to find things that are part of your typical routine. So as an example, like gym memberships, spinning classes, yoga, like whatever the case may be, those things that we do and that we have as part of our regular routine, you know, partner with the local businesses in your area. Take out a monthly membership for your guests to take advantage of. If you're in a city that has one of those like class pass types of things where they can go to like, you know, a variety of different places, you know, take one of those out and let your guests take advantage of that. And then showcase like where they can go. And that's a great starting point. Similarly, like offer a library card, offer somewhere where they can go have a quiet work environment. At some point, no matter how nicely you design your space, like they're going to get tired of staring at the same four walls. So they're going to want to go out there, want to go to a WeWork or go to a co-working space, go to a library, like go to a coffee shop, like whatever. So again, if you can kind of make that part of the benefit of staying with you, that they have access to these types of services, then that can be something that's really beneficial as well. Cuisine is also like so important. At some point, you just want the taste of home. So if you're maintaining like a house manual, you know, ideally it's digital with Operto. But if you have like a house manual, like let them know like what ethnic grocery stores are in the area, or like different types of cuisine, different regionalities, so that they can find something that tastes like home. I remember when I was in Turkey, I absolutely love Turkish food, and I was eating so much like foreign cuisine while I was away. But like it came to a point where I just like wanted something that was like the most basic thing that I knew, and I was like, okay, there's a McDonald's in the city, and I'm just gonna go to the McDonald's, and it's gonna taste exactly like home, and it's gonna give me exactly what I needed. And I went, and it was like, it tasted absolutely nothing like the McDonald's that I'd had in Canada and in the States. So just a word for the wise that that's not the best place to go to try to get home cuisine. So another thing is digital nomads are really busy. Like I said, they're often burning the candle at both ends. So you can give them the option of like grocery delivery. That's all the better. So if there's a way to facilitate that, again, that's something that Operto can certainly help with our guest portal and some of the upsells and amenities you can put in there. That would be a really cool thing as well. Transportation is really key. When we're in a foreign city, we don't have access to our car. We don't really know the transit system. Maybe the transit system isn't even the language that we speak. So maybe there's a way to partner with a local car rental company, offer that as something for your guests to take advantage of, or an upsell. Have bikes or scooters available on the property, something that they can just like jump on and like, head somewhere. Just these like kind of like small conveniences can make such a difference. Nobody wants to spend like so much money doing 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 Ubers a day, like getting everywhere and anywhere. So if we can make that available to them, like that's going to reflect itself in your reviews. Second last thing, cleaning and laundry. Nobody likes living in their own filth. And if you're there for an extended period of time, oftentimes short-term rentals, like they don't have cleaning supplies because they're like in a locked cabinet or the housekeeper brings them. So like have the essentials there for someone to take care of their own space. People who are just traveling for normal reasons aren't going to care as much because they're not spending that much time in this space, but someone who's working there is. So another thing you do is offer mid-stay cleans. Like with Operto, we can offer mid-stay clean through the guest portal and then automatically schedule that clean through Operto Teams, which is our housekeeping software, so to tie those pieces together. So it can be a great way to offer an upsell to the guest. Last thing, coffee. Foreign travelers in particular don't like drip coffee or Americanos. So have an espresso machine, have a French press, let people have the type of coffee that they like. That's pretty much all my time. If some of that is appealing to you, talk to Operto. We're really experts at designing like an unforgettable guest journey, digitizing experiences, getting really creative with upsells and how do we get more revenue from each guest, but at the same time, like give them a great experience and then tie everything else together with the different pieces of our system, like housekeeping and maintenance and smart devices. So if that's something of interest, hit us up. But at the end of the day, thanks very much for having me, Tatiana, and I'll look forward to hearing the other panelists and then answering any questions at the end.
Thank you, Mike. We'll go to the Q&A section later. We already have questions for you. But let's now move to Sloan from DACK. Sloan, can you share your view?
Yes, hi guys. I have some slides that I'm actually going to share with you all about DACK. Can you see my slides, Tatiana? Oh wait, I think you're muted.
Oh, just putting the slideshow.
Yeah,
Oh.
we can,
Okay.
Sloan, but it's not on the slideshow mode.
Oh, okay. Hang on. Oh, yes. Okay. Never mind. I see what you're saying. Let me do that. There's so many Zoom things over here. I can't even find it. Okay.
Yes.
Here we go. Now we're ready. Okay, guys. Hi. My name is Sloan. I am head of sales at DACK. I've been with DACK for about 2.5 years now. I was the very first salesperson that they hired. So I have seen DACK from the time it wasn't even available in the App Store to all of the updates that it has gone through and to be where it is today, which we're very, very proud of and excited of. So I'm going to talk to you about how to meet the expectations of a digital nomad pretty quickly. So as Mike and Tatiana were both saying, digital nomads are huge. There's a reason we care about them. There's a reason you're at this webinar right now. Digital nomads are actually making up 64% of the work field today. So there's a lot of them. They want to get out. They don't want to stay at home and work. They want to go to a new city. They want to experience that culture. They want to be able to, at the end of the day, you know, whether they're working in the unit or at the coffee shop, they want to get out and experience. So how can we help them? How can we attract them? And what are their expectations? They need information to be at their fingertips digitally. The reason they're a digital nomad is because they're so infused with technology in everything that they do, not only in work, but outside of work as well. Also, aesthetically pleasing information is very important. If you still have a property guide in your unit that's, you know, a paper brochure, it's got coffee stains on it, it's just not very appealing for somebody who's used to traveling, who likes the finer things. It's millennials that make up, you know, like Tatiana said, millennials make up the larger percentage of it. They're looking for that finer stay. And then obviously all information in one place, easy and quick to find. They're on their phone working. They want to be able to switch from application to application and then go right back into their emails, go right back to their Slack channel, whatever it is that they're working on. So they need to be able to move around quickly. So DACK can help you provide this. DACK has a really great property guide feature that you can build out and customize however you want. With that information to be available 24/7, you know, they want to have that information before they get to the unit. They don't want to wait to be able to find out, you know, as soon as they get there. And also when they're not in the unit anymore, you know, they're exploring the area, they're not going to take their tablet with them. They're not going to take that property guide booklet that you have in the unit with them, but they take their phone everywhere. So being able to have that information available is great. And then also, you know, decreasing phone calls by answering questions before it even forms as a question for the guest. So, you know, like there's a hot tub. I don't know how to use this. I don't have a hot tub in my Los Angeles 1-bedroom apartment. So provide instructions for me on how to use that hot tub before I even call you and ask. Add a video that you could find on YouTube that talks about that specific model of a hot tub. Add step-by-step instructions. And you can do this for anything. You could even add a check-in video that says, hi, welcome to the unit. Here's blah, blah, blah. So just building that information out so that they can find it without having to ask anybody. Also upsells, I think you guys both kind of touched on this already, but they want to be able to experience the area. So provide these things for them. If they're going to spend their money, why not spend it with you instead of, you know, having to find that local massage therapist in the area, that personal chef? That's going to take a lot of time for them to do that research. Provide it on your own with that third-party vendor that you have a relationship with. That way they're spending that with you. That experience is coming from you, and it's just a little bit more seamless for them. Messaging and notifications. This is huge. So the guest is already on their phone anyway. You might as well utilize that to your benefit before check-in, during stay, and even after checkout. Post engagement is super important. If they're traveling around all the time, hit them with a push notification or a text message that says, hey, we miss you. Here's 10% off, come book with us again. If they love their experience with you, they're absolutely going to take advantage of that. It's a reason to experience that city and your guest experience all over again. Push notifications, we've noticed, have a much more effective rate than emails. I'm sure you guys are all dealing with the issue of our emails are never opened. How do we get around that? They're not seeing this information and then they end up asking for it. Set up these customized trigger notifications so that you never miss a touch point and every guest gets the same experience as if they're your only guest. So you never want to miss those. Also, my favorite is the restaurant notifications. If my host is telling me that there's a favorite restaurant of theirs in the area, I am going to go to that restaurant before any Google recommendation any day. And tell me why. Tell me what menu item is your favorite and I have to try it. Digital access and key codes. I had the worst experience ever at a VRBO that I stayed at in Florida. It was torrential downpour and I was standing with all of my luggage trying to get into this unit and I did not know how to use the lockbox. I'm a millennial. I have no idea how to use a lockbox. I'm so used to everything being digital. I had to find which email this information was in. It took me forever. I was scrolling, my phone's getting wet. I honestly broke down and cried because it took me 30 minutes to find. Offer this information in a super easy place for the guest to see and to be able to use. Also, one tap open, huge. Just make it easy. They just want everything to be easy and seamless, and it looks pretty, so it's great. So just a little bit about DACK too, because we're not the new kids in the game anymore, but we're kind of coming up, you know, and people know us, people use us. So we actually have over 100,000 guests using DACK today. We have multiple repeat guests. So odds are your guests have used DACK somewhere else. So they're getting that experience already. Might as well offer it to them as well. And then, oh my gosh, what did I do? Wait, can you guys still see my my slides?
Yeah, we can see them.
Yeah.
Okay. I can't see them, so I don't know where it went.
You're on the 75% of upsells are purchased before check-in side.
Okay. Okay, here it is. I found it again. I just got a Mac, believe it or not, like this year. So I'm still figuring it out. Anyway, 75% of upsells are purchased before check-in. So make sure you have that engagement going before they even get there. And then just here's a little testimony about Terry White using DACK and how much he's loving it. So if you'd like to learn more about DACK and you'd like to see how it all works and how you can set your units up, we'd love to hear more. Reach out to me and I'll definitely be the one that you speak with.
Thanks, Lon. Thank you. That was very, very interesting. I'll pass it on now to Richie from PriceLabs. Richie, you there?
Absolutely. Cool. Can you guys see my screen? Head nod would go or okay, cool. Thank you so much. And hopefully you're seeing the right screen, which says attracting digital nomads. So my name's Richie. I'm one of the founders at PriceLabs. We do dynamic pricing for vacation rentals. Dynamic pricing is adjusting your rates based on supply and demand, seasonality, day of week, events, etc., etc. That's our only focus: pricing and revenue management. That's the whole and soul of it. We work with Airbnbs, we work with vacation rentals, service departments, villas, chalets, hotels, etc., etc. We've been doing this for the last 8.5 years. We price actively a little over 200,000 properties today in 100+ countries. And then I don't think the team's really updated. I think we have team members in 9 countries today actively. At the core of it, this is the engine where we update rates daily, right? We look at what's happening locally in terms of demand and supply. Our algorithms will automatically calculate rates. As an owner or a property manager, you may have certain rules that you may want to set up, like maybe you don't want check-ins on Saturdays, right? Or maybe you can't support checkouts on Sundays, or you want a minimum stay of 2 nights or 5 nights, or if you're truly dealing with midterm guests on digital nomads, maybe 30 nights, right? And so you can tweak and add those kind of operational levers. And then every 24 hours, we will send this to iGMS. PriceLabs and iGMS work very, very smoothly. We have thousands of customers together. So that connection works very, very well. And eventually, essentially what we are doing is trying to maximize your revenues and your occupancy through this, right? But that's just a quick brief about PriceLabs. Jumping to dynamic pricing and revenue management strategies. I think core of it lies in eventually you have to decide as a business, are you actively thinking about just selling to digital nomads? Are you digital nomads plus short-term rentals? Are you digital nomads plus something else? What is the segment that you're targeting? And depending on that, you have to focus on adjusting your prices based on demand, right? Tatiana, in her slide about the persona of a digital nomad, right? She had there like they're generally looking to travel during off season, right? And so that's a great way to think about what kind of pricing can you offer to these kind of folks, right? If they're traveling in your off season, so that means you don't have to drop your rates for the high season. For the high season, you keep your rates, you capture those dates, right? And then for your low seasons is where you try to capture low season or shoulder seasons is when you try to capture digital nomads, right? Especially the ones that are staying for longer. But on reverse, if you capture the digital nomads in the high season and their willingness to pay is lower, which is also was something on Persona's slide of Tatiana, then you're losing revenue, right? So you have to actively think about the segmentation that you're targeting, right? And how do you play against that? But at the core of it, you do want to, if your business is about revenue, you do want to adjust prices based on what's happening in terms of demand or season or events, etc. And accordingly figure out what periods make sense for you to target for digital nomads. And then Mike had mentioned this, Tatiana has mentioned this, like how do you then distribute to those right kind of guests, right? Whether that's via social media, via certain booking platforms or whatever that is. Oops, going in the wrong direction. Then comes the number one, like at the core of it, it's about thinking about the pricing, and like that's my expertise, which is why I'm talking about that, right? And then again, if you refer back to Tatiana's persona slide and even Mike's story, they're all talking about that they're staying at a place for a while, right? And as they're staying for a while and then they're price conscious, you may want to loop in long-term or long stay discounts, right? These are weekly discounts, monthly discounts that you put in, maybe sometimes even longer. Also consider low season, right? If it's low season, you may want to discount that a little bit. Oftentimes people get confused with not oftentimes, but sometimes people get confused with, should I discount, right, my longer stays? But think like the calculation in some ways works out with a higher price. You may not get 100% occupancy. With dropping the rates a little bit, if you get 30 days of occupancy in a month, that could be more valuable. Eventually, the revenue that you make is your nightly price times the number of days that you get booked, right? And with giving some discounts, if you can drive full occupancy, less headache of cleaning, etc., less headache of operational challenges, etc., right? Could be a valuable way, especially in the low season or shoulder season. Number two, around the same thing, again, going with the same thesis of that these digital nomads are trying to stay for longer, right? And many of them are super well planned. They may want to book far enough in advance, like maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month, maybe 2 months. Like I know I'm going to go to Portugal and I'm going to stay there for a month or two. I want to book a month in advance or 2 months in advance, right? But if you have your minimum stay strategy such that you accept 1 night stays or 2 night stays throughout the calendar year, right? With that kind of a strategy, what you can end up with is, those like dots on your calendar, right? Like some days are booked, some days are like a Monday is here booked and a Sunday is booked and a weekend is booked. And now you can no longer get that 30-day check-in or like a 15-day check-in or whatever, right? And so it's really important to preserve those far out days with a longer minimum stay. And it is also important to preserve those like low season days with a longer minimum stay, right? What you do want to do though, as those dates approach, you may want to decrease or reduce those minimum stays. There are automations possible, like PriceLabs automates you to reduce those minimum stays. But also like if you're not managing a lot of properties, you can maybe also manually think about how do you handle this. Number three, around the same thing, Sloan had mentioned this in her push notifications, but loyalty discounts or easy extensions, right? On one hand, you have these people who are booking a month in advance or something, right? But oftentimes they may want those smaller extensions, or sometimes they're just coming back. And so how can you incentivize them to like drive that little bit of extension, right? They've already stayed with you for 30 days. Can I get them to stay more for 5 more days if I give them some kind of a discount coupon, right? Or can I get them to do some kind of a loyalty thing by giving them some kind of a discount coupon? So allow one in your system of how you're taking those bookings, you may want to allow for that flexibility. And then you may want to look at what kind of solutions, whether that's DACK notifications, whether that's email notifications, whether that's just a leaflet in the house, whatever it is, right? That allows you to capture those guests either back if they're coming again, or if they're just looking to extend. Number 4 that drives with pricing is, and Mike talked about this, Sloan talked about this, right? We talked about it a little bit from upsell context, but and those are great. I do want you to think about also from bundling context, right? For example, when I was a digital nomad, right? When I was looking for not for a long time. I'm a very in the house kind of a guy, but when I was looking for those days, I was looking for, hey, does this place have some kind of either very good Wi-Fi, or can I bundle this with, do they have co-working nearby or something like that? Do they have new city, I need a commute method. Do they have like a bike or something that I can easily use, right? And so almost think about, can you bundle those packages together for these digital nomads, right? There are certain tour agencies or like remote, I guess remote.com, but there are companies like digital nomad companies that you can find who work in your area that you can also partner with. But think about these bundles, right? We had, I stayed at one place where their bundle was stay plus 2 meals a day plus once a week they'll take me to the city and something like that, right? And that's that kind of bundle is helpful because it makes me feel like, okay, I don't have to think about it. I can go into the city. I can feel at home. Very similarly, when you're thinking about bundles, what else can you do, right? I think Mike had a beautiful line in there, like, how can I live my regular lifestyle somewhere, right? So you can almost think about how can you build bundles on that side, or how can you potentially upsell via DACK? At the end of the day, you're trying to make money and more money. And if you're trying to attract these guests, how can I think bundling is a fantastic idea to work with when looking at these guests. Number 5, we talked about these planners who are booking a month in advance and who are looking to extend, etc. Right? But there's the other side of digital nomads who are just showing up tomorrow to your house and who's trying to find the best deal because they're just like the I don't know if Tatiana's persona covered it, but these are like the freestyle, free-spirited digital nomads, right? I'm going to show up, I'm going to find something, right? Or in next 2 days, I'm going to move somewhere and I'm going to find something, right? And so particularly in off season, see how you can capture some of those last minutes with certain deeper discounts or certain policies, right? On the last minute side. Ends up being, I'm not sure how many, but going by my friends, there are a bunch of these folks who want very, very last minute stays. So there's possibly a population out there. Not fully sure what the size of that population is, right? Those are my few strategies. Just to quickly summarize, think about pricing as a core, and how do you want to protect your peak seasons versus how do you want to deal with low and shoulder seasons. Long stay discounts. Think about longer minimum stays for far out dates or low season dates so that you're not booking sporadically on those dates. Loyalty discounts, easy extensions via DACK, via email, via something else. Bundling and upsells with various platforms, and then last minute stay discounts to capture that free-spirited customer with longer stays. Yeah, so those are my revenue management or pricing tips for capturing these digital nomads.
Thank you, Richie. Thank you all guys for all your insights. That was really interesting. Just check on the questions we have from our guests. We have a question here. would it be possible to advertise renting apartments via your platforms in Europe? Who wants to take that first? Richie?
We don't do distribution. We only do pricing, but we connect with platforms like iGMS, and I guess the distribution iGMS handles on our behalf.
Sloan?
Yeah, so you could you can't necessarily advert, you could link out in DACK links to those units for the guests to be able to see. You could also send push notifications or text messages notifying them, hey, check out our other units, things like that. There's ways to get around it.
Okay, Mike?
Yeah, Operto, we kind of take over where the PMS leaves off. Like Richie said, iGMS handles distribution. And then like Sloan said, if you wanted to toss something in to advertise your other units, you can certainly do that within the guest portal. But distribution is really that's iGMS's forte.
Okay. Let me ask you one question to finish it up, summarize. If you could leave one last call to our guests here for watching us, what would you say would be the most important thing for them to pay attention to when catering to digital nomads?
Go for it, Sloan.
I was just going to say, I think the most important thing when appealing to digital nomads is just making sure that you're technology forward and that you're offering your entire guest experience in a very seamless, quick, and easy way that takes almost no effort for them to do any portion of the experience.
Yeah. I would say I would have a very similar answer, right? It has to start with guest experience, and then everything else can follow, like pricing can follow, but guest experience has to lead the way for you to be able to attract digital nomads.
Yeah, and I would just say that, like I mentioned, while they're traveling, like your home is their home. So if you think about all of the creature comforts that you have when you're at home, think about ways that you could provide those to your guests if they're choosing to come stay with you.
Thank you, guys. It was very good to have you here with us. Thank you all who watched our panel. It was very nice to have you on board. Thank you very much. I'm sure we have all the solutions for your headaches, and you can count on us. You can reach out to us anytime you need. Any final words, or can we say bye?
Yeah, thank you so much for organizing this, Tatiana, and thank you so much for having PriceLabs over, and Mike, Sloan, lovely to meet you.
Yes, you guys as well. This was great. Thank you for organizing, Tatiana.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, everybody. Much appreciated.
Bye-bye.